And we're live. Hello and welcome, space cowboys and girls, and all you non-binary space aliens in the Cosmos-verse. I'm your host, Chjango Unchained, beaming telemetry down from the lunar surface. Solar winds here are a bit unstable, but I can manage without my helmet. Also dialing in from ground control is Jack the Gentleman. We're here now covering the very first Orbital Communications community update in video format. This used to be via blog post, but now that the Cosmos Hub is live and the Cosmos Space Station is up and running, we'll be posting frequent live updates about the latest software releases in Tendermint, the Cosmos SDK, Gaia, and IBC. We'll start with the most pressing matter on everyone's minds today, the security advisory and subsequent network upgrade. Jack, can you explain at a high level what happened 2 days ago when security at Tendermint.com first caught wind of the critical vulnerability in the Cosmos SDK? So we clearly can't.
Thank you, Christine. I've got Zachy down here in mission control as well. So right now we're about a little under 200 blocks left for the network upgrade. But to your question as to what happened, we had a bug report come in via our standard security channels. The development team reviewed that issue, determined that it was actually a serious bug. We worked quickly on a fix, which was a very small change. And then once we had decided on a fix and had implemented that, we then began a coordinated disclosure process with folks who had built on top of the Cosmos SDK, as well as our validator set, in order to expedite a quick update of the hub to prevent exploits of this vulnerability out in the wild.
So who's affected by this vulnerability? Specifically, are token holders affected?
Token holders are not affected. Your funds are safe, and there's nothing to worry about there. Yeah.
Awesome. So for the Cosmos Hub, we needed everything to pass through governance. And as I see it on the Hubble Space Telescope, we've got a notification for a security critical hard fork proposal that was voted on in record time. We've got 84% quorum and 100% yes votes to pass it. Can you talk a little bit about this governance proposal and what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So last night, once we had decided on the final format of the patch, and the next step was to reach out to the validator community and see if they would run this software. So we began the process of reaching out to those validators last night, continued that overnight, and then also this morning as well, to ensure that the validators understood what software they were running, what the reason for that network upgrade was, and that they were ready to do so. Once we disclosed publicly the bug at 12 p.m. PST today, the validators decided that they wanted to do a signaling vote in governance to say that, yes, I have upgraded my node and I am ready for this network upgrade. So that's what you're seeing there is over 85% of stake at this time before the upgrade time, which is block 481200. No, I said that wrong.
482100.
Yeah, my dyslexia is kicking in. Sorry. At that time, the new rules will take effect. And yeah, so we've had over 85% of the network vote on this proposal within around 6 hours. So that's very exciting to me and just shows the strength of the Cosmos community, especially the validators.
Yeah, so like what was in this release? Like what were they signaling to upgrade? What are the implications?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a minor change in, I'm not going to talk about the details of the bug. Jesse, our head of security, has a fairly extensive write-up coming out on this next week, and you will hear much more from this team on what happened, why we made the decisions we did, and all that good stuff. But if you're interested in the details of the patch release, you can go check out version 34.6 on the Cosmos SDK. And you'll see essentially one commit with the bug fix in it. So if you're interested as to what that is, please feel free and go check it out. We do all of our development in the open.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
what we were really trying to do is, this is like a height-dependent change in behavior. The old behavior was incorrect and was a security problem. and the new behavior that will kick in about 150 blocks is going to now do the correct behavior as intended, according to our security.
And again, the release tag is github.com/cosmos/cosmos-SDK, and it's version 0.34.6 in the newest releases.
/releases /v0.34.6. GitHub paths, it's a thing.
And we'll link that in the show notes. Okay, so what does that look like with respect to the chain ID? Are we still on the Cosmos Hub 2, or are we going to upgrade to Cosmos Hub 3?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, and one that we've heard a lot over the last day. This chain will continue to be Cosmos Hub 2. It will share history with the rest of Cosmos Hub 2 and is substantially the same chain. Because of the height conditional, we're able to upgrade without any issues.
Okay, and so what's needed? What amount of voting power needs to come online in order for it to be a seamless upgrade? And what happens if not enough validators come online?
Yeah, so in the worst case scenario, under 1/3 of the voting power would upgrade to the new patch. And those validators, in that case, would experience a liveness failure once there is an exploit after the height cutoff. In a slightly worse case, in a slightly less bad scenario, under 2/3 of the validators would upgrade to the new version. And once the exploit has been exploited, i.e. causing that change in consensus rules between the two versions, then we would see the network experience a liveness failure. The case that we're in right now is the most optimistic case. We have over 85% of stake signaling that they have upgraded successfully. And I personally know that there's a couple of large validators who have upgraded, but they have not voted in the signaling vote because of some technical issues. And in that case, the network is going to continue on unabated, and only nodes who have failed to upgrade by the time there is an exploit will experience a liveness issue.
Okay, so while the rest of the chain is progressing, the implications for the validators that haven't upgraded their nodes is that their chain is going to halt.
Yes, yeah, and then all they need to do is upgrade to the new version and then begin syncing blocks.
Okay, and does this apply to all full nodes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what are our expectations for this current network upgrade? So we're nearing we're at block height 481,980 right now.
Okay,
very close to
blocks out.
Yeah, okay. And so what do you anticipate will happen when we hit the destination block height?
Nothing.
Okay.
So if nothing happens, we're good.
Okay, awesome. So we won't really know if anything malicious has happened.
Once we hit that height, if there's no liveness issues, then I think we can be fairly confident that the upgrade went successfully.
Okay. So with the governance vote, it sort of signifies how much of the network has upgraded.
Yeah.
Without the protocol explicitly showing that they have.
Yeah, and through an extensive game of telephone, we've managed to reach the vast majority of stake in the network. And, you know, again, this is, to me, just shows the incredible dedication and strength of the Cosmos community to building and running this chain. And you can see it with the number of different block explorers and wallets there are out there, and a bunch of other things. But this shows it in a very, very explicit way with a short time window as well. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I almost want to attribute this to behavior patterns that were selected for in Game of Stakes, in that, yeah, people were basically trained to be live and have rapid response, I guess, through this game. And so
Yeah.
I think this is probably a unique position.
Yeah. I mean, within protocol, we will punish validators for liveness failure. So
Can you send a link to that to Bez?
yeah, absolutely. Which one? This one?
Yeah. This one.
Okay. Yeah.
So just for some context, with network upgrades, how long does this typically take upgrades to happen in Bitcoin if a security vulnerability were found? And how long does it take in Ethereum, I guess, in other proof of work chains versus other proof of stake chains and versus Cosmos? Just to kind of contextualize this whole thing.
Yeah. So one of the things is in proof of work type networks, network upgrades are much more difficult. Not only because there's more distributed hash power, but because of the way it works. You have to run a lot of computers to generate the kind of power needed to run something like a Bitcoin. In a proof of stake network, you're running way fewer computers, so there's way less to upgrade. So that's from one area that it makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so
Yeah,
I'm going to disagree with all of that.
Disagree with me. Okay.
Okay.
Please.
What makes it hard in a proof of work network is that the network can fork. That you need overwhelming consensus among all of the miners who you don't know who they are, who you have no reliable way of getting in touch with, to come to agreement. And so in order to do these sorts of upgrades, you know, the Bitcoin network actually implemented a miner-based signaling mechanism where miners could signal that they've upgraded their nodes. But then we saw this immediately get taken over by politics because they didn't design it as a governance mechanism, but it became like a political signaling mechanism around hard fork upgrades. So in general, I would say, at least in Bitcoin, they've really not figured out how to do this, and it continues to be an extremely fraught process. I think what we've done, which right now has been really cool, which is, you know, in under 72 hours from having a bug be reported to us, having assessed it, patched it, informed our downstream of what was happening, done a public advisory, and are now in the process of executing a network upgrade. It's just crazy. We're about 80 blocks from the height.
Nice. Yeah. In recent memory, I guess the last network upgrade for Bitcoin was that transparent upgrade to SegWit. And I think that was something that took nearly 3 years to happen.
Yeah. And again, this is, people talk about governance a lot and that experience, and all of us in the cryptocurrency community that was kind of early in my experience in the cryptocurrency community, and watching that play out, it's just kind of obvious that you need something on chain to help this kind of social coordination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of on-chain social coordination, I think something interesting that happened recently was also the Tezos launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the Athens protocol?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they performed the first live network upgrade. So they went to a new set of protocol rules just by all of the nodes updating. Zach, can you know a bit more about the Athens thing?
So Athens was the first on-chain upgrade of the Tezos protocol. And what Tezos does, which is really cool, which we don't do, is their nodes actually have the capability to download the software from the network and upgrade themselves after binding on-chain governance is executed. Though, you know, from what I've read, most of the network, what they did, people actually downloaded and upgraded their software locally ahead of the expected switch over to new protocol rules. But I mean, it's pretty cool. It's amazing that it was definitely a first of its kind effort. You know, I've always viewed this as like the big experiment of Tezos, and you know, the first run of it has gone extraordinarily well.
That's fun, yeah. Lots of experiments in on-chain governance this week.
Oh yeah, the proof of stake space, very exciting right now.
It is very exciting. Okay, so yeah, that covers all of my questions and possibly users' questions by proxy about the security advisory. Let's talk about the general development update. Jack, I know you have updates for us about Tendermint, Cosmos SDK, Gaia, IBC. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, about some of the releases that come along the way since our last monthly update, which happened for April. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bit of time ago. So as far as that, I'd like to start with Tendermint, kind of the base of the stack. So since network launch, Tendermint's been working on paying down some technical debt and a couple of large features. One of those being a major refactor of the blockchain reactor, which is a core system that butts up against P2P and the consensus system. That's ongoing, and there's a couple of other minor refactors that are also happening. They've released a number of bug fix releases for the 0.31 line. We saw another one of those today with 0.31.6. The next major release will introduce a events-based tagging system, which we're using to ship a bunch of features in the SDK later this summer. So that's what to look out for in Tendermint. The next major feature that team is working on is state sync, which
can we rewind a little bit and talk about tagging of transactions?
Yeah, for sure.
Like what's that intended to be used for?
So currently, the way the tagging system is set up, just the data structure, it doesn't allow for the kind of expressiveness that you want in tagging transactions. And this is essentially queryability for the database that is the Cosmos blockchain. So this will allow developers to add much richer tags that will allow for more complex types of queries and help answer questions around things like reporting for taxes and better insight into some of the more complex types in the SDK.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so kind of boring, but kind of exciting. There's a lot of validators out there who are excited about that one. Two of them are sitting in this room. And then, so moving up the stack a little bit, there's the Cosmos SDK itself. Development's been very heavily focused on a couple of things lately. One has been a major refactor of the module code. We added an interface for the modules to make it much easier to implement them. This is essentially a developer experience improvement for the SDK. And that was a huge refactor that required quite a bit of time and energy. That just landed a couple of weeks ago. We're revamping the SDK application tutorial to show developers this updated experience. And we'll be presenting that soon. And if anyone's got questions about that, happy to answer them. Another major project that we undertook since launch was changing our Git branching strategy to enable long-term support of releases. Completed that a couple of weeks ago as well. So we will be, the next major release that we have on the SDK will be a long-term supported release for 6 months or a year. I think we're unsure on exactly what that number is right now, but if you have some thoughts on that, we'd love some feedback. Another major sort of housekeeping item, we split the Gaia hub out of the Cosmos SDK. So Gaia has its own repo now. That's github.com/cosmos/Gaia. And that's where folks will be building it out of. For me, that's a huge one because I think we've gotten a lot of questions over the last year, especially. What's the difference between the Cosmos SDK and the hub? And now that they're in two separate repos, it makes it much more obvious and allows us to show that. Another benefit of that is because Gaia has lived in the Cosmos SDK for a while, there's a lot of sort of overlapping dependencies, and it was a little bit difficult to kind of pull it out. So this forces us to be more modular in our code and will make the developer experience of building apps on top of the SDK much better in the long term. So all three of those things were kind of boring, but they took a lot of time and effort. We also shipped a number of improvements to the REST and CLI interfaces, fixing a number of bugs. And we've started pushing out bi-weekly releases as well. So you've seen the 0.34 line now has, as of today, 6 point releases, which is pretty exciting. So a lot going on in the SDK land. And again, the current schedule for the next network upgrade to contain governance proposals that allow governance to update parameters within Gaia. So this would be things like increasing the size of the validator set, changing inflation. Very powerful feature that allows governance to do a lot of things that they couldn't do before. So that's kind of the major selling point of this release. We're looking to do that network upgrade probably at the end of June. And I'll be talking much more about that moving forward.
10 blocks.
10 blocks. Call it out, Zachy. I'm just going to keep talking here. As far as the Gaia Hub, since the last network upgrade, we saw 2 major governance proposals. One to allow the spending of funds from the community pool, and another one to reduce the penalty for failed governance proposals. Both of those have been implemented and will be picked up in the next network upgrade. So that's very exciting.
And just to give our viewers some context about what the Gaia Hub is, can you define what Gaia is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gaia is the software that runs the Cosmos Hub. There's 2 pieces of it. One's a binary called Gaia D, and you can think of that like Bitcoin D or Ethereum Geth, anything that runs the blockchain. So that's the peer-to-peer network, the state machine, the ability to submit transactions, the REST interfaces, all that fun stuff. 3
blocks away from the seamless switch, so hopefully it is a non-event. Counting down, and 1. Anything happen?
1.
All right, and we're here now at block 482,101. Most excellent.
All right.
Did anything break?
No, it's just still rolling along.
As expected, still running along.
As expected.
No
very exciting. So we'll continue to monitor this for a little while and talk a little disputed arts. And chat a little bit more about this, and we'll also bring on some validators as well to let them share their stories. But just to finish up that product update real quick, that's kind of the hub. Another large item of note, we've started building out a client libraries team. So this is predominantly to improve the JavaScript user experience for developers building on top of the hub. So building a standard set of libraries for wallet developers to be able to easily build and maintain their wallets. The current interfaces are a little rough. We'll have much more in that space soon. And then last but not least, Chris Goes has been hard at work on the IBC protocol. We've been undergoing an open spec process there for the last couple of months. We've made incredible progress. And in fact, this week hit the milestone of we laid down the first code for the implementation in the Cosmos SDK. There's an open PR for that to track the progress there. And I'd encourage you to go check that out. And at the current rate, we're looking at a completed IBC implementation in around 4 to 5 months.
Most excellent.
That's exciting news.
Okay, and most of these repositories, we will be linking them down in the show notes. We'll link the repository for Gaia Hub, repository for the interchain standards, which is where we're tracking the inter-blockchain communication protocol code. So now we're going to open up the live stream to the validators who have come online and have been extremely active for the last less than 24 hours. So everybody's been really hard at work upgrading the network. Hoorah to the entire team. Hoorah to the Cosmonaut community, because the Cosmos verse is live and running.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we could just wait until some validators jump online, and then we could ask them some questions about their whole experience. It must have been stressful. There is Sunny with Sika now.
Hey,
Sunny.
Sika
is the people's validator.
Oh, very on there.
Hello.
Ooh.
So Sunny, tell us how the network upgrade went for you.
Went fine for me. It was no issues.
Awesome. Who else do we
Nice.
have on the line? We have Matt, and we have a name that I cannot pronounce.
Matt,
Hello.
Matt, how's it going? Good. Everything okay over on the Figment side of things? Oh, there's the video mute. It comes quick.
We have Matt from Figment and Chines from.
It's Liviu. It's
Liviu.
my Google account. It's from easy to take.
I'm sorry, I butchered your name in front of like everyone.
Yeah.
It's funny,
Here
it's quite a
in Romania, it's like 5 a.m. So.
Oh wow! And
Yeah.
and you were up since what? Upgrading your node? Like what time since what time have you been up since?
I didn't went to sleep. I'm going
Validators
after.
never sleep. That's my favorite quote from RL.
Yeah.
Validators never sleep.
At least from Romania. The ones from Romania never sleep.
So we have extremely live validators in Romania. Awesome. We know that part of the world will never go down.
I hope Anonymous Ninja upgrades because I have Adams delegated to that validator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you hinting at something?
No, I seriously have Adams delegated to Anonymous Ninja, and I really hope they upgrade.
And we have Alexander Bazubchak, the lead developer on the Cosmos SDK, joining us here today as well.
Hi, Alex Bez.
Hey guys, you butchered my name, Jack.
I did. Please tell me how to pronounce it correctly because I don't want to do that again.
One of these days.
Oh, God.
There's kind of name butchering happening on this call right now.
I heard. Not the first.
Well, so Bez, how was your experience during this whole security update?
Flawless. I wasn't concerned at all.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Strong team here. How's New York this evening?
Gloomy.
Gloomy, as per usual.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You guys get to talk about the weather back on Earth.
I know.
We only have solar winds here,
Gotta
and
watch out
apparently
for the
some glass shrapnel could kill me at any instant.
How did the upgrade process go for everyone else? Pretty smooth?
Yeah, everything seems to be pretty smooth so far.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Seems like a non-event.
This is like the best of all possible scenarios. Like no news.
I mean, this is what we were expecting, but you never know.
Yeah.
Yep. We are.
No one's
at
actually
block
triggered an
height.
exploit yet, so until someone actually triggers an exploit, we don't really know what will happen, right?
So how would we know when someone triggers an exploit? Like, how much lead time do we have after it's happened?
We don't have any lead time, but we do.
Yeah.
We do have a detection script.
Yeah, I wrote some tooling to detect when people, well, Zachy actually wrote it. I just made it look pretty. To detect when people have exploited it.
I was pretty proud at how quickly I wrote that. I think I wrote the whole detection script in like 2 hours, and I'd never written any code that worked with tags before.
New tagging system, way better.
Where does this code live?
I have it on a gist. I've shared it with the validators. I can tweet it out here in a few minutes.
Oh, that might be helpful. We could also link that in the show notes.
Yeah.
I love calling it the show notes. We have a show now.
Zachy, do we still have that script running, or is that kind of a manual process?
It's a manual process. Jack runs it every once in a while.
Yeah, Baz, I've got it in a gist. I'll shoot it over to you.
All right, cool.
It's about a 50-line Go program. I gave it a very innocuous name. Right. Basically what the script does is it goes through and finds transactions that that have taken advantage of it. We saw a couple from the bug reporter, obviously, a couple this morning, but since we publicly announced, we haven't seen any exploits of the exploit. Any of the exploits. It's a
No exploits.
mouthful there.
No exploits. Very cool.
So, all good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Well, I think we got through a full product update. We upgraded the network. We talked to some validators. Anything remaining here, Christine?
We've covered everything, it seems like. And if any other validators want to come and weigh in, let's stay online for another, let's say, 2 minutes, and then we could log offline. And
Yeah, Jack and I are supposed to go to dinner.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go chase some people down.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I owe you guys a tweet with a link to something that helps you find the exploits.
Again, we'll also link everything in the show notes after this call is finished. So,
Cool.
okay.
Any questions for folks before we sign off for the last time here? Just drop them in the any of the channels here. Let me go check the YouTube and see if we've got any questions. I just want to make sure we're not missing something here. Let's see if we've got any questions. Okay. All right. Oh, this is an active YouTube chat here.
oh yeah.
Mainly people trying to figure out who did not make it in time. Jason, can we tell if any validators have not updated? And what's the penalty for not updating? Penalty is nothing until we see an exploit on the live network that would cause the two different versions to not agree with each other. So nothing, but essentially liveness. The penalty for not updating would be your node would halt at a certain point.
So bharvest actually has some data about which validators have upgraded and have not. So
But this is based on signaling. We don't actually know.
Yes.
right.
Yes.
You can look at proposal number 8 as we can assume if someone's voted yes, they probably have upgraded. It doesn't mean that everyone who's upgraded has necessarily voted yes.
That's true.
Dev points out that we're not out of the woods yet. You're absolutely right, Dev. Hoyoung Lee says there is an easy way to tell who didn't update yet. That is absolutely correct as well.
I think this is just like, are we all just looking at each other to see who's going to do it?
Well, I'm not going to do it, but you're more than
I'm
welcome.
not going to do it.
The people's validator taking advantage of exploits. I don't know if that's
Node
people-
18 just went full disclosure and explained the whole thing.
Oh, great. Great Node 18. We need to have a chat with them.
I mean, it's open source.
That's true. It is open source. You're right. So if you want to find out what happens. All right. Let's wrap this thing up, Christine. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, sounds
Mintscan.io
good.
is not working.
What's up?
Mintscan isn't working for me for some reason. I think maybe they didn't upgrade their node for Mintscan.
They did.
Or is it just me?
Might be just
I
you.
don't know.
I did talk to the Lunamit folks.
No, but are you able to access mintscan.io?
Yeah. Not an issue.
Oh, okay. Okay, probably just me. Never mind.
All right.
Cool.
Let's wrap this thing.
All
Ladies and
right.
gentlemen,
Good job,
thank you
guys.
for your time this evening. We have successfully
everyone.
upgraded a network. Way to go,
Cool.
Cosmos validators.
Well, we're not out of the woods yet, so
No, that's true.
if anything
That's true.
happens, we'll come back online.
But that was a great feat of coordination in a very short period of time. So
Yes,
good stuff.
unprecedented coordination. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
That's
you.